George Floyd. I can't breathe. The death of George Floyd. Full history. Who was George Floyd? George Floyd was a 46-year-old African-American man from Houston, Texas. He moved to Minneapolis, Minnesota, for a fresh start and worked as a security guard before losing his job during the COVID-19 pandemic. What happened on May 25, 2020? Around 8:00 p.m., Floyd entered a store called Cup Foods in Minneapolis. The store clerk suspected Floyd used a counterfeit $20 bill and called the police. Officers arrived and found Floyd sitting in a car nearby with two other people. They ordered him out of the car, handcuffed him, and tried to put him in a police vehicle. Floyd resisted, saying he was claustrophobic. The fatal arrest officer, Derek Chauvin, forced Floyd to the ground and knelt on his neck for 9 minutes and 29 seconds. Floyd repeatedly said, "I can't breathe," and called out for his mother. Bystanders, including a teenager who filmed the incident, pleaded with the officers to let Floyd go. Despite Floyd becoming unresponsive, Chauvin kept his knee on Floyd's neck until paramedics arrived. Floyd was later pronounced dead at a hospital. Aftermath and protests. The video of Floyd's death went viral, sparking global protests against police brutality and racial injustice. Chauvin was arrested and charged with second-degree murder, third-degree murder, and manslaughter. In April 2021, Chauvin was found guilty on all charges and sentenced to 22.5 years in prison. The other three officers involved were also convicted of violating Floyd's civil rights. Floyd's death led to widespread changes, including police reforms, racial justice discussions, and the rise of the Black Lives Matter (BLM) movement. It remains one of the most significant civil rights moments in recent U.S. history. The trial of Derek Chauvin. Global response to George Floyd's death. Derek Chauvin's trial, 2021. Derek Chauvin, the former Minneapolis police officer who knelt on George Floyd's neck, faced charges in one of the most high-profile trials in U.S. history. Charges against Chauvin: 1. Second-degree unintentional murder, killing Floyd while committing another felony, assault. 2. Third-degree murder, acting with reckless disregard for human life. 3. Second-degree manslaughter, negligence that led to Floyd's death. Key evidence testimonies. Viral video. The most powerful evidence was the 9-minute, 29-second video showing Chauvin kneeling on Floyd's neck. Medical experts testified that Floyd died from oxygen deprivation, not drug use or pre-existing conditions, as the defense argued. Police testimony. Even Chauvin's own police chief and officers testified against him, saying his actions violated department policies. Verdict sentencing. On April 20, 2021, the jury found Chauvin guilty on all charges. On June 25, 2021, he was sentenced to 22.5 years in prison. Later, he received an additional 21-year federal sentence for violating Floyd's civil rights. What happened to the other officers? 3 other officers, Tu Thao, J. Alexander Quang, and Thomas Lane, were also charged. All 3 were convicted of violating Floyd's civil rights. Quang and Thao were sentenced to 3.5 years. Lane received 3 years in prison. Global response protests. Floyd's death sparked one of the largest protest movements in history, with millions worldwide demanding justice and police reform. United States mass protests erupted in Minneapolis, spreading to all 50 U.S. states. The Black Lives Matter (BLM) movement gained even more momentum. Some protests turned violent, leading to clashes with police and National Guard deployments. Cities like Minneapolis introduced police reforms, such as banning chokeholds. International protests. In Nigeria, activists linked Floyd's death to police brutality by SARS, fueling the Down to End SARS movement. In the UK, statues linked to colonialism and slavery were taken down during protests. In France,